Hi friends, and welcome to card number 2 of Silver Bells Creative Design Studio. We are going to start by making card number 2 first as the workshop instruction. So you're going to want to grab your instruction and we're going to follow all of the directions here in our guide. Once we have our card base folded, we are going to grab our toffee ink and our blending brush again, and we are going to blend some ink on the top of our card there. I'm eyeing the measurements on the workshop guide. You'll see that I didn't have any scrap paper there, so I was using my all-purpose mat there to dap off the ink so I didn't have such a harsh line on my card base. I cleaned my all-purpose mat with my chamois, and now I'm temporarily placing these pieces down here just to get a better measurement of where this stamp's going to go, because you don't want it up too high and you don't want it to be too much covered with your pieces when you put them down, right? So I just kind of temporarily laid them there so that I could measure. I know it gave us a measurement in the guide there, but I just often just do by eye, and I wanted to make sure that they were going to fit okay up there. A little trick here is that if you want to be sure that your stamp is straight, line it up on your Versamat and then pick it up with your block. Be sure you season it and use your stamp cushion underneath your paper, underneath what you're stamping on, right? And again, I'm also making sure that I have room for my pieces when I stamp down here. So I just temporarily laid them down again just to be sure that they were going to fit in there. Now I'm going to take my blending brush and go around the edges of my paper. Again, this is a personal preference. I do like how edge distressing or ink distressing your edges of your paper creates a visual line between your patterns. You might not always see it, but your eyes see it, and it creates a visual line between patterns. It also adds a finished look to your edge of your paper, especially when you're using a cardstock and we have that white core in the center. So if you ink the edges, it really provides a finished look. Now I decided that I wanted a little bit more of an edge distress on this one. So you did see I went over it a couple of times. The blending brush tends to give a very subtle inking to the edge, as long as you don't get your paper between the bristles of the blending brush, right? So if you want a more inked look, you do need to go over it a little bit more to get that established look. Okay, so now I'm just placing these pieces down, and look at how quickly this card goes together. Super fun. I love the colors in this, and I had to trim something there on the edge. I was a little bit off. And then we're going to add in some bling, right? Because we always want to add some bling. So we're going to add that bow in. And then we are going to add in some gems, and it really finishes off the look of this card. Tell us below, are you watching today or are you crafting along with us? Now for card 2 per the Creative Design Studio, we are going to complete this card just the same way as we just completed the last one. However, I am going to add in some gold glitter paper and our gold paint pen. So I started with using the blending brush around the edge of my paper there to do some edge distressing. I am going to add in that gold glitter paper there down in the center. And next I realized I need to make sure I put my stamping in before I run into an issue and can't get my stamps there. So I'm going to grab some scrap paper, because you see I'm going to get the ink on the glitter paper there. So I grabbed just a scrap piece so that I could still have room there. I should have started with that like I did the last one. Now you'll see here I put the glue on the wrong side of the paper. So I used my rub and remove eraser to remove the adhesive from the piece of paper. If you don't have a rub and remove eraser, I highly recommend them. They are great for removing adhesive. Now, I did decide that on this one I didn't want to do the blending in the back, and I just stamped down there with the rosemary ink this time. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere that bow down. I decided to put a little bit of foam tape behind the bow this time. Once you have the foam tape down and you remove the backing, we're going to go ahead and place that bow down. And now I'm going to grab some of our paint pens. Now, we no longer sell these, but I know many of you have them in your stash. And if you don't, you can use any paint marker, right? And you can color on your gems. Just make sure you give them some time to dry. I noticed on mine, I put them down before I had them quite dry, and I did get some smudge on my card base, which I was a little bummed about. I also took the gold paint pen and dabbed it onto all these little circles on I don't know what that is up there. I want to call it greenery, but it's not greenery because it's gold, right? Once your colored gems are dry, we're going to go ahead and place those down, one in the center of the bow and then two off to the right hand side there. And look at how pretty this is. See, I had a little smudge there, so I was able to hide it. But look how fun that is. I hope that you have enjoyed card number 2. I will see you in card number 3.